Welcome. This is Donna Tashton with Vibrant Living International. And today I have a special guest. And my guest is Dee Difatta. Did I say that right?
You did.
I did.
Difatta, but Difatta.
That's cool. And we found out we used to have some semblance in the same town, and how it is amazing what a small world it is. So you're all the way in Massachusetts and I am recording in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I love technology. So Dee, why don't you just tell the girls listening a little bit about yourself?
Well, it's been an interesting journey.
I would say so.
Yeah. Growing up, I was always the kid who wanted to fit in. So I was always the people pleaser. I was always the good girl who followed all the rules. And I was always the one who had a smile on her face and made everybody else feel comfortable and loved and accepted. And yet on the inside, I was miserable. I was angry. I didn't love myself. I couldn't find the acceptance. I was always looking for more. Like I said, always trying to fit in. And this followed me. This followed me throughout all of my schooling. And everybody thought I was a happy girl. And I'm like, yeah, you have no idea. And when I graduated college, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Ooh, talk about a rude awakening.
So how old?
It was the day before my 22nd birthday.
Oh, what a present.
Yeah, I was still 21 years old and had the whole world ahead of me. And I'm like, wait, what? So I had always envisioned myself, being busy, working in the city with my briefcase and my heels and my nice suit and just going. And the universe is like, no. Like, oh, what do you mean no? So I had to adjust. And at first I was in denial, complete and total denial. Good luck trying to fit in with multiple sclerosis when your legs don't work the way they should. I really was not walking well. I was fatigued. People thought I was making excuses, not to work. And I'm like, you have no idea what's going on inside of my body right now.
Right.
But I didn't know what was going on inside of my body either.
Right.
And I didn't realize until years and years and years later that it was a major wake-up call for me. It was the universe telling me to slow it down, because I was that person who was a goer and a doer and a get it done and busy all the time and no time for self-care and no time for self-love. I didn't even know anything about that. I had no idea. So yeah, I pushed, I pulled, I made things happen. I was a major control freak. And oh my God, it's taken me over 20 years to get out of that.
Yep.
But I'm just so grateful that I have. And I understand the stories of being unworthy or feeling unworthy and feeling undeserving and feeling unloved and looking outside of yourself for love and acceptance and validation. Because when you're living in those stories, the stories in your mind that were created, oh God, way back when you were like 3 years old. For me, it was when I found out I was having a little brother. I had been an only child for 3.5 years. All of a sudden I find out I'm having a little brother and I'm like, what? All of a sudden he comes into my life and it was never the same again. And I didn't realize it until, hello, I'm 49 years old now. Just a couple weeks ago, I said, oh, my inner child is still struggling with this, because she was so angry that she never got to express herself. Once my brother was born, it was all about him. It was all about me being mommy's little helper and big sister, and I didn't have my own identity anymore. And it just kind of multiplied after that. So I'm like, oh my goodness, 49 years old, and I love my inner child like none other. I'm like, oh, please come out and play with me. Please, it's safe now. It's safe. It's okay. It's okay to be you and be true to you. So I believe now in being authentically me. I love myself, flaws and all. And I came up with something this morning. I go, wow. I said, I want to show up as is. I'm like, what does that mean to you, as is? And I said, authentic self, indomitable spirit. I go, ooh, I like that. So people think of as is as broken. We are not broken. We are not broken. We are more whole than we give ourselves credit for.
Yes. The challenges of life do not define us.
Exactly.
We are a spirit having a human experience.
Yes, we are.
Yes, and learning to be able to think that way. I
Mhm,
ask one of my clients, so if somebody lost a hand or a leg,
mhm,
would that they cease to exist?
mhm.
And she's like, no. And I'm like, but we treat the way I look,
Yep.
the way what's going on in my body as if it's me and it's my tent, it's my vehicle. And it isn't always working right.
Mhm.
It's my vehicle. So you went through that really quickly from 21 to 49 really quickly. And I have a feeling that there were a lot of days that your beautiful smile that I'm looking at that they can't see necessarily wasn't there. And there were some hard days
Oh yeah.
of hopelessness. And what else was going on? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, no, it's very challenging because at the time I let MS define me.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I have MS. So, and people talk about MS as a debilitating disease. I'm like, I'm debilitated. And my legs progressively got worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, I'm disabled. So all these words,
Right.
and taking them on, and that's horrible. I'm like, wow. And then to boot, I started using a walker. And I was not ready to start using a walker. I go, my God, I said, I'm not even 50 yet. I'm using a walker. What the heck?
Right.
And I wasn't happy about it. I really wasn't happy about it. But at the same time, I knew I had to come to terms with it. I
Mm,
knew I had to come to terms with this disease that was a part of me, but it wasn't me. At
yes.
my core, my true essence, I'm a feisty being. I like to have a good time. I like to have fun. But it took a lot. It took a lot. And there are days I remember writing in my journal. I'd be sitting on the floor because I couldn't walk and I had fallen down. And I'm like, wow, I'm stuck inside. I'm sitting on the floor. I wonder what other people are doing out there. Like there's a whole other world outside that I know nothing of because I'm here. I was in victim mode.
Hmm.
It happens.
Yeah.
So there were some very dark days. There were some very dark places. Not every day is a good day.
Yeah.
So, but I am bounded and determined now to think positive.
Right.
So, and I'm
What
grateful.
began to make the shift? What brought you to your positive self that you are today, which we'll talk about your book and stuff in a minute.
Yeah.
But what began to make the shift? Because it wasn't an overnight thing. I'm sure it was
No,
steps for most of us.
no, I actually, I struggled for a lot of years. I always tried to stay positive about it, but my insides were not happy. I would
Right.
beat myself up on the inside and be happy on the outside. That's just who I was. It wasn't until about 3 years ago that I went to the neurologist's office and I couldn't walk. I hadn't started utilizing a walker yet, and I tried to walk in there, and I was wall walking, holding on to everything I could find so I didn't fall down. And when I finally got into his office, I looked at him and I said, "We are not doing a walk test today." I said, "I can't walk. It's not working for me." And he said, "You realize that if you keep going the way you're going, by the time you're 60 years old, you're going to be in a wheelchair." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not an option." And I'm like, "There's got to be another way." And he said, "The only other way is to put you on this drug, this intravenous drug." He goes, "But there's a side effect that you could get cancer, especially breast cancer." I'm like, "Whoa, my sister just recovered from breast cancer."
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up for, the study for whatever it was, the intravenous drugs. But I was put off for months and months. I'm like, that's okay. I'm right with that. I came home. I really thought about it. And it was like the first time I had ever really gotten quiet with myself
Mm,
and asked myself, what is it that you want? Because there's got to be another option. There has to be. And it was challenging because, you know, you've got all those voices in your head saying, drugs, 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 you need drugs. Otherwise, it's going to get worse. Drugs, drugs, drugs. It's like, take care of yourself. And the other side of me was going, no, 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 no. You don't need this. You need to build up your spirit, your mind, all kinds of other stuff. You need to work on you. And I'm going, wait, what? You know, when you have like two different people
Mhm.
on your shoulder telling you two different things, it's like, there's too much noise right now.
Yes.
Shush. Who do I believe? But I decided not to go on the drugs. I actually came off all of my MS meds, which I don't recommend to other people, but that was my choice. I chose to come off of all the drugs that I was on. I said, nope, we're going to do this naturally. So, yeah, in that moment, I surrendered everything. I surrendered the way I was living. I surrendered my drugs. I surrendered, you know, my job. I surrendered everything. I said, you know what, universe, I'm done. I'm done trying to control everything. I'm done thinking that I know the right way to do this. Help me. Show me the way. And it was that day that everything started to shift.
Yeah, it's amazing. We think surrender is weakness. And when we surrender the things that haven't went well, the people that have hurt us, all of that to God, it makes a huge shift
Yes.
in everything. And there we actually begin to discover who we are and
Definitely.
discover a tap into power and insight and strength that we can't do any other way, because the out of control thing that I've got to hold, I got to fix all this and I got to do all of this and all of that kind of stuff is resistant
Mhm.
actually receiving power and strength from God to be able to do and hear his voice, to be able to help us to go to move forward. Surrender is one of my favorite things to do, because I know the difference it's made in my life when I daily surrender my hopes, my dreams, my perceptions of how it's supposed to be
Exactly.
to God, and watch him work. So that day shifted everything for you.
Everything.
And what happened from there?
Oh, a lot.
Mhm.
A whole lot. So, different people came into my life, super positive people who had already been through a shift. And I learned so much from them. I learned about prayer, the power of prayer. I learned about the power of positivity.
Mhm.
I learned about surrender and forgiveness and your environment and energy and how that plays a part and how everything is energy. I said, what do you mean by that? Everything is energy. They said, well, what you watch on TV, what you read in books, what you hear consciously and subconsciously going in and out, that is all energy. The people you surround yourself with, anything that you have, you know, in your possession. And I looked around my desk at work and I went, whoa. My way of dealing with things was always laughter and sarcasm.
Mm,
And I did not realize that sarcasm was an angry emotion.
yes.
So I started looking at the signs on my desk and I went, oh, these need to go now. And I came home and I threw out all the sarcastic signs I had in my home. I'm like, no, bye. I don't want you here anymore. I don't need this kind of energy. And it's amazing how just clearing out the sarcasm and the signs that I had made space for something new and more positive in my life. And had I not lived it myself, I would have never believed it because I didn't grow up that way. You know,
Right.
I had no idea. But yeah, going through it and seeing what it's done for me, oh, night and day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard one of the people that I listened to say this phrase, and I'm going to see how you relate to it. She said, everything is created twice.
Hmm.
It's a thought, and then it's a thing. And she was telling the story of her own illness, and someone had told her that, and she had self-loathing, and all of that was involved, and she ended up almost dying through the process. And someone helped her through it by telling her that phrase and some other things that they instructed her. But what do you think about that?
Oh, that is so true. Someone had actually told me to read the book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of her book, she gives reasons for MS. And it says mental hardness, hard-heartedness, iron will, inflexibility, and fear. Do you know that's exactly where I was?
Mm.
That was me. I have no doubt in my mind that because I felt all of those emotions and had no idea how to deal with them, and that I would think about them every single day, that I created my own uncomfortable reality. So she says, your new thought is by choosing loving, joyous thoughts, I create a loving, joyous world. I am safe and free. And do you know that's exactly what I did? And the funny thing about this book is I didn't even buy it until a couple of weeks ago. Go figure. But the good news is I was already on that path.
You were already on that path.
Yeah.
Surrender, turn the door, open the door so that you could see things you didn't see before and be able to take that step. That is awesome. So, what are you doing today?
I am having so much fun. I am living my purpose. I am a perspective and positivity coach.
Okay.
So I coach individuals and groups. I have educational programs that I share and that I teach. I'm an inspirational speaker and a published author. And I'm thrilled and overjoyed to be a published author because I have wanted this for so long. So yeah, it's wonderful.
So if people wanted to get your book, what's it called?
It is called Your Daily Dose of Positivity, but it's beautiful. And here is a picture of me with my walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, a little help from a friend. I call her Diva. She's fun. I'm like, Dee and Diva coming at you. Watch your toes.
So if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they reach out to you?
They could reach out to me via Facebook, via LinkedIn, via my email, which is dee@adoseofpositivity.com. And they can always purchase the book on Amazon.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll put all those links in the show notes for you guys to listen to take advantage of if you would like to get more information about Dee, her story, and her book. So want to thank you for sharing your story today. It is amazing to hear the resilience and the strength that women can provide in sharing our stories with others. We hope that this has been an inspiration to you. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you.
Didn't you love that conversation with Dee and the overcoming spirit that she has developed through being positive and learning the power of surrender? I hope you enjoyed their story and you take advantage of checking out her book and her websites as well. And remember, I am always here. I believe in you and you were designed for greatness, which is why I designed this podcast. I help women rise above painful past and incidents in their life so they can live the life they've always dreamed. So reach out to me and let's have a consultation. It's absolutely free. And so that you can figure out how to get on the journey of living the life you've always dreamed, truly leaving the past behind. And until next time, this is Donna saying live and love vibrantly.
Thank you for joining us on this powerful episode of the You Were Designed for Greatness podcast. Please share this with others who might enjoy it. For more info on Donna Tashton or to contact her, visit iVibrantLiving.com.